Greetings, this is Sarah Rushlow on behalf of Baker Hunt's Art and Cultural Center, here to bring you another fun and exciting art tutorial.
So today we will be making some bookmarks. To do this, we're going to need some cardstock, a water container with water, paintbrushes, paper towel, a paint palette with red, yellow, blue, and white paint, painter's tape, thin preferably, scissors, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to tape all four sides of our cardstock. So I'm peeling off a big piece of tape, and then I am taping down the bottom edge of my cardstock. Stretching it across with one hand and rubbing it down with the other. Trying to make sure all the tape is stuck to the cardstock. Alright, now I'm going to paint. Alright, now I'm going to tape the top edge of the cardstock. Okay, now I'm going to peel off a big piece of tape and tape the left side of the cardstock, left edge of the cardstock. Take a final piece of painter's tape and tape off the right edge of the cardstock. So it should look like your white cardstock has a blue picture frame around it. Alright, now we're going to divide up the cardstock into sections. So to do this, we're going to take our painter's tape and we're going to tape it vertically to pieces of painter's tape about 1.5 inches from the left and right edge, and then one piece of painter's tape in the middle. Now your cardstock is arranged in a horizontal or side-to-side orientation, and you're taping the sections in a vertical orientation, so up and down. Alright, to paint the bookmarks, we're going to take our paintbrush, swirl it around in our water, then swirl that paintbrush around in our white paint. Just give our painter's tape a once over with our hand, just rub it all over with our hand to make sure it's sticking to the cardstock at all the areas. And then we're going to take our white paintbrush and paint a white line across the middle of all four sections of our cardstock. So we're going to take our wet paintbrush and paint white paint horizontally, side to side, across the middle of all four bookmarks. Make side to side stroke. Alright, now we're going to paint the top and bottom of the bookmarks yellow. So you can do this all at once, or you can go bookmark by bookmark. But you're going to paint the rest of the cardstock yellow. Top and bottom. So the white paints the horizon line, and the yellow paint is going to be the sky and the reflection on the lake of the sky below it. If your paint is too thick, you can either add more paint or more water. All right, so painting top and bottom half of the Bookmarks yellow. You can just take some white paint and brush it over the edge between your yellow and your white paint. Create a smoother transition. All right, almost done painting the top and bottom of my Bookmarks yellow. So you should be looking at yellow bookmarks with a white line down the middle. Once you've got that, you're going to take some red paint and you're going to brush it into the top quarter and bottom quarter of your bookmarks. So it'll be a big line of red. It's going to be like the red part of the sunset. And same thing as with your white paint. If you want to smooth the transition between the red and the yellow paint, you can take yellow paint and brush it over the place where the red and yellow paint touch each other. Kind of create orange. You don't have to wash your brush out at this point that much, because you're going for orange, and red and yellow make orange. Red and yellow make orange. So now we've painted the sky red, and now we're going to paint the reflection of the sky in the water in the lake below red. So just paint the bottom quarter of your bookmarks red too. Now I'm taking that yellow paint and brushing it over transition between my red and yellow paint. I can smooth them out as much as I want. It's okay if they don't all look the same. And it's okay if one of them isn't your favorite. That's why you make 4 of them, so at least one of them will turn out the way you want them. Now I'm brushing off my paintbrush pretty well by brushing off the paint on a paper towel. Now another thing I can do to smooth out transitions is I can just brush my paintbrush off real quick and then dip it in some water and just use water to kind of smooth the transition over. It's another way to get smoother transitions between your colors. Alright, so to wash out my brush, I brush it on my paper towel first and then dip it in the water. Going back in with some yellow, adding some yellow to the transition between my white paint and my yellow paint. So if some red paint mixes with yellow paint, it's not the worst thing that ever happened, because we're kind of going for red and orange and yellow in this painting anyway. and red and yellow make orange. It's okay if you paint over the blue painter's tape accidentally. That's what it's for. It's supposed to keep paint from getting below it to the white paper beneath. So you'll end up hopefully at the end with some white lines between each of your bookmarks. We're smoothing transitions more. Wash out my brush again. Brushing it off on my paper towel, then brushing it off in the water. Now I'm going to go and hopefully, if you have a little small pointy brush, this is a good thing to use it for. You're going to dip that small pointy brush in some white. And you're going to go up towards the top half of your bookmark. And in the yellow and orange area, you can paint a little white circle for a sun, or a little half circle for a moon. And then you can paint some little lines in the yellow water below. Lines should start big at the horizon line and get thinner and smaller as you go towards the bottom of the bookmark. And those are just going to be the reflections on the water, the ripples in the lake. And if you really don't like something, you can wait till it dries and you can paint over it normally. You can also use white to go over different colors and blend them together a little bit. Smooth out the transition that way too. And since I'm trying to make the sky the horizon line a little bigger, so I'm just going over that area with my white detail brush. All right, now I'm going to take my blue paint and mix it with some red paint for purple to make the plants in this painting, because they're supposed to be like on the riverbank. Do that in each bookmark, the base of each bookmark. You can do one at a time, or you can do them all at once. Like draw one horizontal line across all of them and draw some short vertical lines for the grass. Now time to paint the trees. So draw 2 horizontal lines on either side of each bookmark, about in the middle of your bookmark. It's like just below the horizon line. Those are the 2 opposite banks of the lake. Two horizontal lines. They're pretty short too. So then we're going to draw some pine trees. So you're going to draw some vertical lines growing out of those shorelines. You can make them big or small. You can make as many as you can fit on there. Normally you can get about 3 to 4 on them. You can make them short or tall trees. Really add any trees you want. Now once you have drawn those vertical lines, you're going to do a series of horizontal lines that cross over the vertical lines for the pine trees. And you want the lines to taper or get smaller and closer together as you get towards the top of your pine trees. Kind of the way pine trees do. They kind of look like triangles. Pine trees to have a triangle silhouette. So now I'm going on to the second bookmark and painting another 3 pine trees. Like I said, you can put as many as you want. I normally can get about 2 to 4 for me. And you could have no pine trees if you wanted. Alright. Adding some pine branches to the pine trees. Last one. Alright, and my last pine tree. Alright, so once you've painted those pine trees, you can also add some birds to the background. So I'm going to some of my bookmarks and I'm drawing some little M's. You can do as many birds as you want. I normally do 2 or 3. You're going to paint those in the top half of your painting in the sky. Well, that about does it. For the painting part, you're going to clean out your brushes, or at least I suggest you clean out your brushes now. You can even clean up your painting things if you like, or at least set them aside. Clean your brushes, it's the same thing. You brush them off on your paper towel. And then dip them in the water and brush them off on your paper towel again until they're clean enough. Might even want to throw away your paper towel after you've cleaned your brushes. This next part you're not going to need to paint anymore. So after you've cleaned up, you're going to peel up the painter's tape eventually, and then you're going to cut your bookmarks apart in those white gutters between them that you're going to create with your painter's tape. You got to take your time when you're peeling up that tape because if you hurry or if your paper's too wet at that moment, it may tear. In fact, you might want to wait until your bookmarks have completely dried before you peel up the painter's tape, but that's totally up to you. Once again, though, if one of them tears, if something doesn't turn out the way you want, that's why you made 4 of them, so that at least one of them will turn out the way you like. All right, going to the right edge and peeling up the painter's tape. I'm taking my time, pulling it slowly. I can use both hands to hold down the paper and also the other hand to peel up the tape. Give my time. Okay, I just peeled up the right side piece of tape. All right, now I'm going to peel up the dividing tape that I put over the middle of my cardstock, and this one's the right side. I tend to find it's easiest to work either left to right or right to left. Taking my time. holding my cardstock down with one hand and peeling up the tape with the other. Also taking my time because there's probably some wet paint on my painter's tape, top of my painter's tape. And that can get on your bookmarks, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm just being careful and cognizant of that. So as I peel up the painter's tape, white lines are revealed between all my bookmarks. I'm going to then eventually take my scissors and cut between those white lines, the space between those white lines, to create different bookmarks. Okay. Now, for my last divider line, painter's tape, then I'll only have 3 sides of painter's tape left. Just did my left side painter's tape. Now my bottom painter's tape. Bottom edge painter's tape. Top edge painter's tape. Now when you're working with the painter's tape, if you need help, you're always welcome to go ask for help in either putting the painter's tape down or picking it up and peeling it up later. Sometimes it helps to have one person hold the cardstock down and the other person peel up the tape. All right. Now time to cut my bookmarks apart. So I have 4 bookmarks instead of one big one. So now I'm going to go in those white lines between my bookmarks and cut up the middle. So now I have cut 1 bookmark out, 2 bookmarks, holding my paper with one hand and my bookmark with the other. And you can also change angles, like if you get halfway up your bookmark and you want to flip it to the other side so it's a little easier to cut out, you can. All right, so all my bookmarks are cut out, but 2 of the bookmarks have thicker edges because they were on the right and left edge of the cardstock. So I'm just cutting off about about a quarter of an inch of the thicker white edge, so they're a little more even. They don't have to be perfectly even, but I kind of like it. But kind of close. Alright, so now you have 4 bookmarks. I'll let them dry if they need to dry, and then you can either use them yourself, or if you know someone who likes to read and can use bookmarks, you can give it to them as a gift. Well, that about does it. This has been Sarah Rushlow on behalf of Baker Hunt's Art and Cultural Center. Please check out our website, bakerhunt.org. And as always, stay safe, stay creative, and I'll see you next time. Bye!